Hello and thanks for watching. In this third video in the Vatsim UK series I want to do a departure from the zone, and I'm planning on leaving the Edinburgh zone. It looks like there's a Vatsim event currently streaking across England, so we're going to come north. We've got an ATIS on and a radar controller on at Edinburgh, and we'll fly north out of his zone and we'll go through the RT transmissions and what to expect. During this I'll be using a homemade pro forma that I like, just to help me write down things quickly and accurately and consistently every time. So I've got my call sign there in case I forget that. It has happened. Got my route there, and then important stuff. So I'm writing down frequencies of stations I might need to call here. This section will be filled in as I go along, as will the notes, and I'm writing down ATIS type information or expected information for the airfields that I'm going to. So as we discussed in previous videos, first thing I'm going to do is get on the Vatsim UK website, have a look to see what the METAR is at Edinburgh, make a note of that, and then also come down and have a look at the VFR procedures. There's talk here of VFR lane, which we'll look at in a moment. We'll look at the chart here, we'll download this. This shaded area are the lanes, so there's the Kelty lane heading north, so I would expect us to be sent up on that. And it says here's the centre line. An aircraft using the lane shall keep centre line on its left, which is the normal way for VFR traffic because that's where you've got the best visibility. So the wind is from the west, so after departure I would expect to be sent north up to the Forth Road Bridge, and then to follow the lane up to Kelty to leave the Edinburgh zone. This is probably a good time to talk about what we mean by the zone around an airfield. So in the UK, my understanding is that small airfields without controlled airspace have an aerodrome traffic zone around them, which is either 2 miles or 2.5 miles in diameter and extends from surface up to 2,000 feet. You mustn't fly through that without permission. Bigger airports and aerodromes have a larger area around them, which is the control zone, labelled as CTR on the charts. This one around Edinburgh is about 10 miles in radius, I think. We see it on the chart just here. And it's labelled as Edinburgh CTR, so the control area, control zone, and it goes from surface to 6,000 feet. Outside of this area, such as here for example, you have control area, still Delta class, but it's higher up. So as a VFR pilot departing with an altitude restriction that's in the order of not above 1,500 feet, this circle is the boundary of the controlled airspace for you. So as we leave, once we get to Kelty, we'll be outside of the Edinburgh zone. In my little nav map, this circle is displayed, and if I increase the flight plan altitude, other areas will start coming in. So now you see a different shape which fits with the other chart. Very nicely shown on the low-level controlled airspace chart that I introduced you to in previous videos. So depending on what flight plan altitude you've set in Little Nav Map, you see different areas of controlled airspace, provided you've chosen here at flight plan cruise altitude. Edinburgh was remodelled a little while ago. So this is the up-to-date chart. The runway that used to be here has now been removed, and there's an apron put up there, turnhouse apron. That's the one that we're parked on at the moment. But if I can show you what scenery little nav map is showing my simulator has, you can see here's the now defunct runway. So don't rely on things like little nav map for correct anatomy of an airport, because it's very often out of date. We've got Edinburgh radar, which I'm going to make a note of, and we've got an ATIS here. Let's tune that in.
And advise aircraft type on first contact. Edinburgh information Juliet. Time 1020. Runway in use 24. Transition level flight level 65. Surface wind 250. 9 knots. Visibility 10 kilometers or more, broken 1,000 feet. Temperature +12. Dew point +11. QNH 1035. Acknowledge a receipt of information Juliet. And advise aircraft type on first contact.
Okay, so we've got that. And I'm just going to have a look at the chart to confirm the airfield elevation, which is about 136 feet. So if I now tune in QNH there, good. I'm not going to bother going through all of the proper checklists. We're just going to jump in and get started. So one last check that there's no other ATC on. No, we haven't got any Scottish control on, so it's just going to be Stephen. So there's no one talking at the moment, so I'm going to call in for radio check first of all. Edinburgh radar, good morning. Golf Hotel Echo Romeo Charlie with information Juliet. QNH 1035, request radio check and start up for VFR departure to the north.
Golf Hotel Echo Romeo Charlie Edinburgh radar, good morning. Readability 5, information is Juliet, we're using runway 24. Your startup is approved and expect clearance at the hold.
Start approved, clearance at the hold, thanks. Golf Hotel Echo Romeo Charlie. So here we are, we're down on the turnhouse apron, so I would expect to be sent probably Golf, then Mike to Mike 1, and then if there's no other traffic around, up to Delta 1, otherwise probably hold at Mike 1. Golf Hotel Echo Romeo Charlie, Cessna 172 on the turnhouse apron, request taxi.
Golf Romeo Charlie, taxi via Golf Lima, hold Lima 1.
Taxi via Golf and Lima, hold Lima 1, Golf Romeo Charlie. Two things of note happened just then. Firstly, he gave me taxi instructions, which are on the list of things that have to be read back in full. And secondly, he used my abbreviated call sign, so I can now abbreviate it as well. I've made a note of both of those on my bit of paper. Okay, so go down the left hand side here. We might have to make this up because my scenery is not exact. So we're going to go down there up to Lima 1, hold there before getting onto the main drag.
Golf Romeo Charlie, contain that taxi, hold Charlie 1 and just confirm your aircraft type.
Hold Charlie 1 and it's a Cessna 172, Golf Romeo Charlie.
Golf Romeo Charlie, thanks.
Okay, so I'm just going to stop the aircraft now to look at the chart. Charlie 1. Okay, so yeah, after we come out of Lima, straight across to the left. Yeah. So you notice in the simulator,
Golf Romeo Charlie, have your clearance when you're ready.
Roger, call you back in a moment. Golf Romeo Charlie. You'll notice that this is hold alpha in the simulator. In 2020, if they haven't correctly modelled the airfield, they call everything alpha, I think. Not very helpful, so that's why you need a good up-to-date chart and something like Little Nav Map to plan where you're going. So I want to do my run-up checks and everything first before I receive the clearance and faff around, so I'm going to just do that first of all. Oh, didn't have my mixture rich for that. Oops. Too busy talking. Okay, that's good. That's set. Set that to runway heading. Take off trim. Flaps up, no need for those. Good. So we are at Charlie 1, we'll report that position. Other chart up now for the VRPs and whatnot. Golf Romeo Charlie, holding Charlie 1, ready to copy.
Golf Romeo Charlie, Roger, hold position. After departure, cleared to leave the Edinburgh control zone via the Kelty VRP, not above 2,000 feet on QNH 1035 and squawk 0437.
Hold position. After departure, cleared to leave via the Kelty VRP, not above 2,000 feet, VFR 1035, squawk 0437. Golf Hotel Echo Romeo Charlie.
Golf Romeo Charlie, be back correct. Report when you feel ready.
I'm ready for departure now. Golf Romeo Charlie.
Golf Romeo Charlie, Roger, right hand turn out. Surface wind 250 degrees, 9 knots, runway 24, clear takeoff.
Runway 24, cleared to take off with a right hand turnout. Golf Hotel Echo Romeo Charlie. So as discussed in a previous video, that departure clearance we got, he started off with hold position, just to reiterate the fact that just because he's telling me what my clearance will be to leave the zone, that's not an invitation to get on the runway and take off. Once the departure clearance has been established and I've read it back correctly, then the takeoff clearance comes as a separate thing just on its own, and that's the only time, as we know, that the words takeoff are used. So, right hand turn out now. So a controller won't normally talk to you while you're climbing away because you're busy during that time. Gonna head to the ridge over there in the distance. So it's not above 2,000 feet. I'm going to head for about 1,500 feet.
Golf Romeo Charlie, so radar control service, report Kelty.
Radar control, report Kelty. Golf Romeo Charlie. He's told us that we're under radar control, so that means he can now see us as a blip on his screen. Now we're up in the air and away from the aerodrome. We're not at liberty to mess about. You've just got to fly out of the zone as cleared.
Binary 8421, read back correct, call ready, push and start.
So the Kelty VRP is pretty much due north, follow this main road, keep the main road on the left. So when he said he was ready to give me my departure clearance, my personal preference is to do my run-up checks and whatnot first, and then receive the clearance and then go straight away, but you don't have to. You could receive your departure clearance and then he'll tell you to report when you're ready to go. So you can write down your clearance and then do any other preparation bits and pieces you have to do. Okay, when we get to Kelty, that's going to be the outer edge of the control zone. So I would expect him to ask us what service we want outside of the control zone, because it's the radar service, he's not tower, so he can continue controlling us for a while. We'll request just a basic service, which essentially means he gives us an up-to-date QNH and will give us a squawk if we don't already have one. And he'll just maybe keep an eye on us on the radar, but it's not a radar service, so the responsibility remains with us, of course, to fly safely VFR. So this chap that's controlling at the moment is often on at Edinburgh. He's got a nice, calm, relaxed attitude, clear voice, doesn't rush it. It's great with new people. He'll help them out if they don't quite get things right. In general, I think most of the Vatsim controllers are absolutely brilliant, considering the amount of things they have to think about all at the same time and do. Remarkable skills. Golf Romeo Charlie, overhead Kelty.
Golf Romeo Charlie, Roger, radar control service terminates. What service would you like?
Request basic service outside, Golf Romeo Charlie.
Golf Romeo Charlie, Roger, basic service outside control airspace QNH 1035.
Basic service 1035, Golf Romeo Charlie. Okay, so the radar service is terminated. It's not his responsibility anymore to watch where we are and make sure we don't crash into any other aircraft. A controller will sometimes say something like, what service outside? So what we mean by just the word outside is outside of the controlled airspace, which is why I said request basic service outside. One thing I didn't do though, I should have read back QNH 1035, not just 1035. I think in the updated 2020 version of CAP 413 it says that sometimes it's okay to omit the word squawk, but an altimeter setting should be read back in full, so I guess that means we should include the letters QNH.
Golf Romeo Charlie, you report leaving the sequence.
Roger, I'll report leaving Golf Romeo Charlie. Okay, so basically he's then saying I should call him when I want to leave his frequency. I don't really know exactly where his boundary will be, and I think the boundary for radar controllers is fairly vague, so I'm going to do about sort of 25.
Right, 421, pushing start approved, face north, QNH 1035.
25 miles north, and then I'll request to change to Unicom 122.8. The rest of the flight, there's no further ATC at the moment, just checked.
Thanks.
There is actually a keyboard shortcut. You can type into vpilot.com1 space 122.8 and then it'll retune your radio for you if you struggle to do it in the simulator, but I think really you want to keep it realistic as you can. Golf Romeo Charlie, request frequency change to Unicom 122.8.
Golf Romeo Charlie, Roger, frequency change approved, Unicom 122.8, basic service terminates and squawk conspicuity is 2.1.
Squawk conspicuity, frequency change approved. Thanks very much for your help. Bye bye, Golf Romeo Charlie. So squawk conspicuity, whatever conspicuity code is appropriate for you. which most of the time would be 7,000, but doesn't have to be, which is why the CAA said a year or two ago for controllers to stop saying squawk 7,000 and to say squawk conspicuity, so that if a pilot chose to use a different conspicuity code, they were free to do so. Okay, so that is it. I'm not going to bother recording anything coming into my destination on Unicom, and the next video I will do entering the zone. Bit much to do it all in one go. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.